Yeah, I was going to bring, I got a couple of donations.
Okay, welcome to the 47th annual meeting of Heritage Lake. It's good to see all of you. I'd like you to stand, please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I normally remind people before we do the Pledge of Allegiance to listen to your own words. There's some good words in there. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the Board of Directors and Ken Roselle, April Land, and Jolene Pfaff, and of course, members of Heritage Lake. I'm going to forego the minutes of the last few meetings. We will approve those minutes at the March meeting. I'm sure all of you watch YouTube. You know exactly what went on, so there's no sense in going through that now. I'm going to move right to my president's report. You have in front of you a booklet. On page 8 is my report. I'm not going to read the entire report. I'm going to use it as a guide to just reference some of my appreciations and hopefully your appreciations of the people involved in Heritage Lake. First of all, I'd like to bring to your attention and those people who are watching, especially those who are new to Heritage Lake, the numerous benefits we have here at the lake. The beaches, the boat slips, the public docks, the community center, the pool, an array of sports facilities, people that talk while I'm talking, pickleball, tennis, volleyball, basketball courts, and of course our fabulous concert series facility. I'd like, hopefully everybody recognizes the work that goes into providing all of us with those amenities for $300 a year. The tended areas, the conservancy property that we all use. The organizations such as the concert series, the fireworks, the trunk or treat, Easter egg hunt, Meeting Santa, the invaluable lake security, the marina, our restaurant services, all contribute to the uniqueness of Heritage Lake, where we all live. I'd like to give my gratitude and hopefully your gratitude to all those people that make those things possible for us. Please take some time to read through the different committees in your book. The Campground Committee, the Long-Term Committee, the Government Committee, Siltation Committee, the Lake Committee, Hillknack Committee, Election, Cleanup Committee, Architectural and Environment, we all know that as A&E Committee, the Garden Club, the Neighborhood Watch, the concert series I'll mention twice. What a great effort those people have put out, and it just seems so exciting to see everybody out there having fun about 4 or 5 times a year, not to mention the campground bands that also provide that type of amusement for all of us. We have several clubs out here. The Quilt Club, the Quilt and Stitch Club, I'm corrected. Domino's Club, the Euchre Club, Certified Emergency Response Team. Very neat thing that has developed over the last few years. Please read about those. Heritage Heartland Homemakers, Heritage Lake Cruisers. And if I've forgotten somebody, shame on me. There's a lot to cover, but I appreciate all those clubs and committees and there's something for everyone if you wish to volunteer. I'd like to recognize the hard work that Rick Miller and Rachel Goss have provided us for the highlights each year. I'd also like to recognize Ed Som and their team for the restaurant and the hard work they do to supply us with a lake restaurant. And especially a special thanks to Ken Roselle and his dedicated staff who manage the office, the maintenance department, the marina, and the pool. Thank you to our office staff. April Land and Jolene are here. The tasks of that office are immense. This year, hopefully, I don't know if you can imagine, but on top of everything they do on a daily basis, we have thrown them several curveballs this year. We have thrown them several fastballs this year. And these ladies have worked diligently to get these things performed. The amount of mailings that have gone out this year are twice what we normally send out. It doesn't sound like much when you're going to mail to somebody. We're mailing to over 2,000 people. We're stuffing over 2,000 envelopes each time we come up with a bright idea. So it's an amazing feat, and thank you. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Maintenance Supervisor Sean Flanagan for his team and the hard work they do. I'd like to thank Rose Ogden, the Marina Manager, and her staff for a well-run marina. Again, we have 1,100 people coming in without their insurance papers, without their ID, without something. And it's awful hard to tell everybody, no, we got to have it all. But they do it, and they get it accomplished, and they do it in a nice way, and we appreciate it. I'd like to thank Kim Curran and her pool staff, and the security staff, Brian Helmer and his ladies and gentlemen that keep our lake safe out there. I don't know about you, but I've noticed a great difference in the security of our lake, and it's a blessing. Finally, I'd like to send out a very heartfelt thank you to the Board of Directors. The people that give their time, Rick Stevens, Dennis Barrow, Rick Miller, A.J. Stafford, Alyssa Borchek, Summer Ramsey, Nina Stebbins, and Jeff Blades. The countless hours of discussions, disagreements, agreements, testaments are all testaments to the collective commitment to making a positive decisions for the whole community. We don't make decisions, we don't take them lightly, we take them seriously, and we talk about them, we beat them to death before we actually vote on them. Once the vote is accomplished, we try to get those out in a positive manner. Please take a moment to read through the accomplishments in my report of last year. That is almost, it's just solely the responsibility of Ken Roselle, your lake manager. As we enter the new year, we enter it with a purpose of collaboration to try and get more volunteers to help us out at Heritage Lake. We welcome any members that might find time to volunteer one evening a month, one morning a month. Please join us to give a little for a lot. And remember, in the future, stay positive and move forward. Now I'd like to move to the committee reports for Heritage Lake. We're going to start out with The Lake Committee, Kent. Kent goes first, he has other obligations. Yeah. Now, as I read these committee reports, obviously this is a fairly informal meeting. If you wish to use the podium, we would accept that. If you wish to stand where you are, we would accept that also.
It'll be easier for people to hear online, though.
Okay. We'll go ahead and use the podium then.
You want to read it or do you
No,
want me to
you read it, please. You guys would be sick of me.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kent Hoops. I'm the chair for the Lake Committee here at Heritage Lake. We have a great supporting infrastructure. I'm going to start with the Lake Committee actually has a subcommittee, and that is the Clean Water Team. So I want to read their annual report. Mr. Phil McKinley's not here today. His wife provided the overview for what was accomplished in 2023. The initiatives for the Clean Water Team in 23 included windshield surveys that were conducted on properties upstream of Heritage Lake tributaries, where no particular areas of concern or posting rezoning requests were noted. So everything looks clean coming into the lake. In the spring and early summer months, the team submitted articles to the highlights concerning reminders for best practices around the lake to help ensure continuing clean and safe water in the lake. Some of those would include types of fertilizer to use when you're out there that drain into the lake. The yearly water testing for potentially harmful bacteria was conducted and analyzed for 3 samples collected by Ken Roselle. The results were again very positive, with E. coli levels at very low levels compared to the standards, which might cause concern, and were some of the lowest levels in recent years at Heritage Lake. So the efforts we're doing are showing good results. The team is a subcommittee of the Lake Committee, and we encourage anyone interested in being concerned about our waterway to join us at our monthly meetings. Thank you for Phil and his team. For the annual report for the Lake Committee, we'd like to thank the POA members, the POA Board of Directors, for their continued support of our committee and our efforts in 2023. Your support of our committee has allowed us to coordinate and provide the following benefits to our community. With the dedicated interest and quality of Heritage Lake for nearly 2.5 decades, the Lake Committee and the POA Board of Directors have approved and paid for fish stocking at Heritage Lake. These efforts were put in place after research and recommendations from neighboring departments of natural resources, surrounding states' natural resources. Our initial efforts were due to an influx of shad population that came to the surface. Today, we continue to look at the invasive species, which include but are not limited to a continuation of our shad, as well as the snail population that everyone sees. We feel confident that our continued efforts are seeing positive results, and we are excited to see our efforts validated consistently with our Lake Water and Fish Study Survey performed by Aquatic Control. Our lake continues to be a healthy fishery, and the Lake Committee, along with the POA Board, will continue our efforts to make this health continue. The stocking efforts have included red ear, which are the shell cracker fish, which are designed for the snails. That's their main diet. Hybrid bass, striped bass, and these stocking efforts are first and foremost to combat the invasive species. It's simply a benefit for sport, but we're encouraging all those to be catch and release, and you'll see that in our lake rules. We provide the Heritage Lake merchandise at the marina. Styles are reviewed annually, and the POA members can look forward to seeing new apparel again this year at the marina, as well as online digital sales platforms. 100% of the monies made from these sales goes straight back to the POA members with lake improvements. Our committee has used our 2023 funds for lake improvements, including but not limited to the expanded marina parking, bumpers and cleats at the main marina, the swim raft at the clubhouse, 17 new lake buoys, bringing our total of support of 165 safety buoys on the lake that have been purchased through our committee. The Lake Committee recently purchased an additional 10 buoys that will include a lighting device on top. It is our hope that this lighting feature will continue to reduce the buoy damage and increase the safety from dusk to dawn for powercraft operation. More buoy lights and buoys are on our agenda for 2024. We recommend an assisted in lake weed control. Our recommendations included areas of concern for boaters, as well as areas for fish habitat and spawning protection. A detailed map of the habitat areas was put together with assistance from the aquatic control folks, the Heritage Lake Bass Club, and the Lake Committee members. We assist with the Heritage Lake maintenance crew in helping to lower mechanical costs for the security boats. We also provide lake security with new software programs for database gathering for lake-related concerns, and we also provide safety items for them if they need anything for the boat related to lighting, life vests, ropes, tow ropes for towing other boats. Your Lake Committee is the one who supplies that on an annual basis. Please continue to be respectful to these individuals who are on the water for all of our safety. Our committee was instrumental in our continued efforts to provide a safe lake for our POA recreational users and boaters experience by reviewing and recommending new test questions and recommending new rules on our required operator test. A special thank you is in order to our POA Board of Directors, Ken Roselle, and our POA Board Liaison, Mr. Rick Miller, who value and support our testing efforts to educate our POA members. Please review the 2024 rules prior to hitting the water this summer. Again, this year, test, fines, and loss of lake privileges are listed as enforceable actions. The operator test can be taken online as well as at 2 Lake Committee kiosk locations at our lake. And it is important to know that each and every year, the operator test must be completed by anyone operating on Heritage Lake. We provide learn to ski and wakeboard days for both children and adults. We provide all the equipment and the instruction at no cost. Many children who have never had the opportunity to be exposed to water sports or have never even been on a boat sign up to participate in our program. Some of those kids continue and participate in our Feast and Ski event in July. We sponsored and supported the Bass Club's 2023 tournaments. We are pleased to announce that they will be continuing the very successful Kids Bass tournaments. The Bass Club has provided hundreds of fishing poles and Christmas gifts to children around the lake in the past year, instilling a respect for the fishery and the health of the lake. Additionally, the Bass Club contributed over $1,000 to our stocking efforts. We have a conduit to the board via our liaison, Mr. Rick Miller again, as well as many board members who have supported our efforts throughout the years. Thank you, Rick, for all your continued efforts. Our committee has one large fundraiser a year, and we had a very successful 2023 Feast, Ski, and Fun event organized by Mary Petruzzi, who's here today. It is once again one of the highlights at our lake this past season. I'm pleased to announce that the Feast, Ski, and Fun event is planned again for this summer. It is our largest fundraising event, and we are pleased to announce our volunteers have already started planning for one of our community's favorite days of the summer. This single-day event provides our committee with the operating capital to partner with the POA board and provide funds to allow ideas to become realities. Sponsors who feel that this grassroots community type of event fits into their marketing campaign for 2024 have already reached out and set aside space to mingle with our POA members. We continue to assist any way possible to keep Heritage Lake a fun, safe place to boat and live. Our committee ending balance for 2023 is in excess of $25,000, with dedicated funds in excess of $10,000 already anticipated for the 2024 agenda. As a committee since 2003, we have raised and contributed over $100,000 back to the lake and the common properties at no cost to the POA members. As the Lake Committee Chair, I would like to thank all of our previous and current members. Additionally, we as a committee would like to welcome all POA members to join our efforts and gain insight into our committee, our strategy for utilizing the funds for the betterment of the lake and community. Our spring meeting, subject to change because of spring break this year, currently is March 27th at 7 p.m. here at the clubhouse upstairs. Our meetings are always open to all members, and your suggestions and ideas will certainly be welcome. A special thank you to the following POA and Lake Committee members. My apologies if I leave anyone out. My wife, Beverly Hoops, my father-in-law, Dave Granadier, Brian Alexander with the Fishing Club, Jason McClellan with the Fishing Group, Charlie and April Land with everything, Phil McKinley on the Clean Water team, Dan Teague with fishing, Tom Novak, who's been a sounding board for us for years, Mary Petruzzi, who takes over for the Fee Ski and Fun event annually. Lois Napier, a name everyone knows here at the lake. Kent Ellen Stevens, Darcy Schaefer, and Lisa Stafford, who are taking over our apparel this year. And Jim and Debbie Muhlenbein, who've been a staple with the Lake Committee for several decades. POA board members and directors, and we want to thank especially Ken Rozelle for his support of our efforts, and the POA board for supporting the Lake Committee. Thank you.
Okay, next on the docket, a man who wears a lot of hats out here, especially today. Rick Miller's going to report for A&E, HLPT, and HLCS.
Good afternoon. Okay, so yeah, I've got 3 reports to give you. Dennis Barrow is in Florida soaking up sunshine and drinking margaritas probably, so I'm going to give his A&E report. First, though, I want to shout out to the committee members, because this committee, as much or more than any, is a very technically inclined committee. They do a lot of hard work. But I want to call out Chairman Joe Mineta, April Land, Jake Mawson, Shannon Lieb, Sharon Peoples, Jim Davidson, and the board liaison, Dennis Barrow. They work hard for you, so give them a hand, please. So projects completed in 2023 included a long list: new homes, 41, home additions, 5, attached garages, 2, detached garages, 6, non-waterfront fence, 36, docks, 22, boat lift, 9, permanent covered boat lift, 6, decks, 20, porches, 2, a deck with porch roof, 7, pergolas, 2, gazebo, 2, gazebo, 3, sunrooms, 2, pool, 2, greenhouse/garage addition, 1, and portable storage units, 1. So they've been busy. Rules changes from the A&E committee this year. They did a few language cleanups, but new rules included rules for portable storage units and for dock storage boxes. A busy year. I'll move on. Summer Ramsey, she's a busy lady studying for a master's degree, but today's celebrating 10th birthday with her 3 twins, so she can't be here. So I'll read her report for her. For the Long-Term Planning Committee, she's pleased to report on our achievements for 2023. This year, the committee, consisting of Tom Novak, Rick Olson, Rick Miller, and Summer Ramsey, has successfully recommended and facilitated the acquisition of a generator for the Heritage Lake community. We extend our sincere gratitude to Ken Rozelle for his valuable assistance in overseeing, ordering, and installation of that generator. It will not only provide power for the clubhouse, but also to the activity center, ensuring uninterrupted operations during power outages and emergencies. In addition to the generator project, and she gets kind of mushy about me here, but in addition to that, we're proud to announce the establishment of the Heritage Lake Community Foundation. Rick Miller spearheaded this initiative, dedicating extensive time and effort to navigate the intricate process, I can vouch for that, of filing the required state and federal paperwork. The creation of HLCF stems from a thorough examination of the long-term study conducted in 2014 and discussions regarding the limitations of applying for grants under our current POA incorporation. So the accomplishments reflect our commitment to enhancing the infrastructure and community resources for Heritage Lake. We look forward to committing and continuing our efforts to look towards the future needs within our community in the coming year. Sincerely, Summer Ramsey. With regard to HLCF, I'd like to add something. HLCF, Heritage Lake Community Foundation, is a 501c3 corporation, meaning they can take tax-deductible donations, and probably most importantly, we can apply for grants. Most philanthropic companies require that 501c3 designation. So we have nearly filled our board director positions, and we still need to find, though, some people to help us do grant research and grant writing. So if you're interested or know someone who is, please have them contact us through the POA office, if you will. Yes? I'll try. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to near and dear to my heart, Heritage Lake Community Services. I first want to give a sincere shout out to the HLCS volunteer staff, starting with Rachel Goss. Can you stand? Rachel Goss she's doing a wonderful job editing and publishing the monthly highlights. We also have Carol Kowalski, who is our treasurer, and gives her time and skill to that, including tax prep and stuff like that. We have Marianne Novak, who continues to contribute articles for the book club, Lynn Forsgren for the garden clubs, Sandra Tyndall provides the information for the Heritage Heartland Homemakers, and Gary Owen provides updates on the Cruisers Car Club. We also have Pastor Kevin Thompson and his wife Kathy, who provide our monthly spiritual inspirations. The POA Board of Directors, through the office staff with April and Jolene, provide the meeting minutes. Ken Roselle provides the monthly POA manager information, and Sheriff Deputy Brian Helmer, who I hear is leaving us to go to Hendricks, but he provides the police briefs. New to our team this year is Nancy Bersham. She has learned to be a proficient blogger and is working to revive the Meet Your Neighbor series. We want to feature fun and interesting articles about our many wonderful residents, so please respond enthusiastically as she reaches out to the community. And then I'd be remiss if I don't give some serious thank you to our many advertisers. Without them, our publications just can't happen. We provide it free to the community because they pay for ads that make it all possible, and it's not cheap. Okay? I sometimes feel like we have more advertising than news, but I know for certain that any successful publication has that kind of happy problem, okay? So if you feel like there's a lot of ads, just know it's paying for the news, okay? Achievements we're proud of this past year include helping with the Feast Ski and Fun event that promises to be even better this year, sponsoring the concert series efforts, and continuing to support many of the POA systems in use for our membership. After acquiring new printing equipment this year, we finally achieved what I consider to be magazine quality publication, and I'm really proud of that. I hope you like it. As a reminder to everyone, and information for new residents particularly, we publish each month on or about the 25th of the month, both in print and online. We advertise widely in popular Facebook news groups when each issue comes available. We print, the printed copies can be found in the blue newspaper-style dispensers at the following locations: the entrance to the POA Clubhouse, entrance to the Marina, entrance to Lincoln Hills Park, and by the drive-off area at the bottom of that sometimes slippery Gettysburg Hill. So you can also find them in magazine racks in the Marina and the Haven Restaurant. So we're just really proud to serve the community, be your go-to news source as best we can, and look forward to serving you again next year. Thank you.
Campground, Rick Stevens is not here. Somebody else going to read the report? Let's see what we've got here. Okay. 2024 camping session will begin at the annual campground site selection meeting being held on Sunday, March 3rd at 1 p.m. at the HLPOA office. To guarantee a camp spot for the 24 season, applications and fees were to be paid by February 26th. That's Monday. If you have not paid, please contact April Land or Jolene Pfaff at the POA office. Permanent campers are $690. Half-season campers enter after July 4th are $425. Transient campers, short-term, $35 a day. 2024 winter storage, that's November through March, will be $175. If any of these are wrong, just holler. Camper Village was at the capacity for the 23 season with 8 campers on the waiting list. Campground Committee, along with the POA staff, identified 8 lots being utilized for storage and not for the intended use. The renters of these lots were notified by mailed letter. We would not be renewing their lease for 2024. Preliminary campground numbers show only 10 spots available for next season. The 2024 Heritage Lake Campground camping season begins on the weekend of April 5th. The campground facility opens March 30th for unit placement and cleanup of lots. No overnight camping until April 5th, 2024. The campground committee is comprised of Rick Stevens, campground chair, Ashley Morris, the campground assistant chair, Jody Lautcher, I hope I pronounced that right, campground secretary, Kristen Gillette, campground treasurer. We will be working close with the HLPOA office personnel and campground managers to make this a successful 2024 camping season. Thank you, Rick Stevens, for all your hard work. Okay, cleanup. Jeff?
Thank you, Paul. Fellow board members and Heritage Lakes friends and residents and community. I'm not Sarah. My name's Jeff Blades. I'm 335 Patriots Landing, and I'm filling in for Chairperson Sarah Lackner today. She has a prior commitment. She holds down a job in addition to doing her duties here, and she does a great job of maintaining the cleanup committee's activities and processes and managing the meetings and guiding and directing and leading the current committee members. So if you would help me join in thanking her for what she does, let's do that right now. So she's in her report. She has several dates that she's identified, and I recommend as I go along, if you jot these down, you'll have a good idea of when and what we do for the year of 2024. So the cleanup committee meets every second Wednesday of the month in the clubhouse at 7 p.m. Our first meeting for this year will be held on March the 13th. If you look up the mission statement of our cleanup committee, it will read that our committee encourages Heritage Lake property owners, residents, and guests to maintain and preserve all Heritage Lake properties in a safe, clean, beautiful, and environmentally friendly manner and condition. I hope this has been shown in our efforts from 2023. To start off, I would like to thank Don Williams for being such a great asset to our committee. He has selflessly taken all aluminum cans to get recycled without ever being thanked by our committee. So I wanted to be sure he knew he was appreciated for all he did for us last year and years past with the cans. Thank you, Don. We started our year in April with the trash pickup around the lake. This is always a much needed event and would be so helpful for residents to continue in their own neighborhood. Our group mainly stays on Heritage Drive, so we don't often get to the side roads to get all the trash. We will try to do our best to keep Heritage Lake clean and free of trash. Thank you to the volunteers who helped last year for the trash pickup day. We would like to say a big thank you to Ken Rozelle for bringing out the trustees to help in the trash pickup, and they were a big help. Our committee greatly appreciates their help. I will be sure to post on Facebook the date of our group that decides for this year. In May of last year, for the Clean Sweep Tox Drop event, we had 98 residents who dropped off tox items and bigger items for the Clean Sweep. I say the more we get in the dumpsters, the less junk there'll be in people's driveways, garages, backyards. So bring all you can. We have a handful of items we charge for since we need to drop off to other locations, so we do ask for monetary donations. Example of those would be couches, mattresses, old dockwood, or anything that takes up space in your garage. Thank you again to Ken Rozelle and all of the Heritage Lake staff for all the support and help that they do in helping us accomplish our clean sweep, and for opening the building and helping. We are thankful we can have a building like this accessible for our event. This was also a time when Ken brought trustees to help us again. Thanks again for so much for their help. Also, I'd like to say thank you to Charlie Land for supplying his trailer for scrap metal collected. This was a big help money-wise to our committee since we didn't have to pay for an extra dumpster. All the dumpsters were used for trash only. We are always looking for volunteers, so if you are available even for just a few hours, we could use your help. This year the event will be May 11th at the maintenance building from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our toxic pickup items will be taken from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you're unsure of what qualifies as toxic items, an ad will be listed in the highlights on what we can and cannot take. Now we got to close down at 11 because we have to have everything in Greencastle but before 12. So that's why that 11 o'clock deadline is important. So make sure that if you've got stuff that you're bringing, get it in here before 11. In August, we had our paper shed event, which we hope is helpful for residents. This event will be held, you ready? August the 10th this year from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We will accept any kind of paper documents you wish to shred on site. In September, we held our last event, the Fall Clean Sweep, which was a great success. Thank you again to Ken Rozelle for helping and bringing the trustees to help. Also, thank you again to Charlie Land for supplying his trailer for the scrap material. This year, the Fall Clean Sweep will be Saturday, September the 14th, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. An ad will also be in the highlights prior to events indicating what items we take for this. We cannot take any toxic items at this event. We have nowhere to take them. We hope these events help the residents know that there is a place at least 2 times a year to take your trash or unwanted items, and we can dispose of them. Also, all of the money we collect goes right back into the community. This year, our committee purchased 3 American flags to replace where they were needed. We donated to the scholarship fund, and we purchased bags for the waste receptacle located over at the trail by the dam. I want to say a huge thank you to the constant members of the cleanup committees that show up and give all the events that we have. I'm very proud and thankful for this committee for helping me and giving me guidance at the meetings and the events. Lastly, I want to thank all of the residents of Heritage Lake who have supported our efforts with all the events we've held for 2023. We cannot make this committee work without your help. Here's to another great year for all of us and continuing to help keep our neighborhoods clean and our roadways clear of trash. Thank you very much, Sarah Lagner. So that's Sarah's speech. I want to close, and I want to say, because every time I've done this since I've been at the lake, I'm reminded of a lesson I learned in my freshman year at Purdue in 1971 in the fall. Our professor, Reese McGee, he was a sociology professor. That was a hard class. I didn't do so well, but I learned this. He just stressed and he stressed and he stressed. Groups don't act, people do. And so as I go to group meetings like this, and I see all of you, and I hear about all the things that the groups do, and the teams do, and the committees do, you know what it is? It's the people. Groups don't act, people do. That's not me saying that. That's Dr. Reese McGee, who's passed away, but that he knew that. I had a hard time learning that back then, but I learned it here. So thank you so much, and let's look forward to a 2024 great year. Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to get a report from Dwayne Kelly for siltation and the Conservancy, please. I used to be able to say, when I got up here, that this was the report that you've been waiting for all afternoon, because I used to be the last one. But he's moved me up, I guess. So. Okay, Siltation Committee. The members of the Siltation Committee are Jim Muhlenbein, Jerry Wood, Ron Kowalski, Jim Hazelwood, Tom Novak, and Ed Demerot, and myself as chairman. And I think every committee person out here, chairman out here, probably feels the same way I feel, or they wouldn't be chairman of their committee. I feel that the Siltation Committee is the most important committee out here. I'm sure that there's other committee members that would disagree with that and feel the same way about their committee. Anyway, we're pretty much under the radar. We don't do things that are very visible. We're digging under the water, and nobody can even see we've been there most of the time. But we have made a lot of accomplishments. This last year, or 2023, we cleaned out parts of Coves 7, 8, and 10 for $21,825. We cleaned out some of the main body, the delta where the water comes in on the East Fork for $32,399.50. We did some work in the main body of the lake down around Patriots Landing 221 and 225 in that area. There was a little island like out there for $13,162. And we also did some more work in Cove 6 for $11,750 for a total expenditure for 2023 of $70,086.50. When I put this together, then I got to thinking, so I thought I'd throw some gee whiz figures out at you. I went back 5 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. In those 5 years, the Siltation Committee has spent $422,932 in cleaning out the silt basins, removing silt from the main body of the lake, cleaning out coves, and so forth. I thought that was sort of a gee whiz number of getting up close to $500,000, you know. And you look at the lake and go, where'd it go? Well, it's down on the 32 acres piled up.
We don't meet from October till March. We stop in October. We've usually got all of our projects for that year completed by October. Then we don't meet again till March, because normally there's ice on the lake and so forth. In our October meeting, we go through, and in 2018, when the lake was down, when the Conservancy was redoing the spillway, and the lake was down 6.5 feet, we had a fellow with a drone take pictures of the main body of the lake and all 20 coves. So in October, we take a look at those things and see what the next priority is that hasn't been cleaned out. So in October, we make a decision of what, in last October, we made a decision what we're going to do this year. I normally in January get a hold of Shannon and tell him what we want done, so that just as soon as the ice gets off the water and he gets his equipment on there, that we're not holding him back. And we work with Shannon in a situation where I try to tell him in January or February what we want done for the next year, and tell him, you work it in your schedule. When you've got the barge, when you've got the excavator on it, and it's ready for you, you're ready to go to work, you go ahead, don't wait on us. This is what we want done. We meet the fourth Thursday of every month. Our next meeting is March the 28th. I'm going to stay after the meeting and have a cookie, so if anybody has any questions on siltation that I can answer, I'll try to answer them.
Can you tell us how long you've been doing this with the siltation committee, please?
I've been on the siltation committee for 22 years, and I've been chairman for 21.
And you spent all our money.
Yeah, I spent all your money all this time. That completes the siltation report. My other hat is Clear Creek Conservancy. I'm chairman of the committee at Clear Creek Conservancy. We have 3 board members. I'm going to go through a little bit of history here. I'm not going to try not to bore you. We've got 3 board members. Each board member is elected out of 2 subdivisions around the lake. Right now, our board is Chris Schaefer, who represents Victory Hills and Jefferson Valley. Have Chris Schubert, who represents Mill Springs and Lincoln Park. Have myself, representing Patriots Landing and Gettysburg. We have 5 employees. We have Kathy Deere, who is our operations manager. We have Doug Clodfelder, who is our waste treatment operator. He's required to have a license through the state of Indiana to be a wastewater treatment manager. We have a total of 5 employees, which we're very proud of. We have 5 really good employees that are really dedicated to their jobs. It's not just for the money they make, they're very dedicated. As you all know, I'm sure, we're in the process of an expansion at the wastewater treatment plant. With all of the new additions going on, the plant was being outgrown. We'd started about 3.5 years ago looking at what we needed to do. We went to an engineering firm, Curry and Associates. We sat down with them and said, look, back in the early 20s, we made a small expansion on the plant. So we want the engineering firm to look at this, and we want a wastewater treatment plant that would handle build-out. If ever a lot out here had a house built on it, we would have a wastewater treatment plant that would handle it without having to do another expansion. They come back with some information and started talking to us. We put everything together, us and the engineering firm put everything together, went out for bids. Our expansion project estimated at $5.5 million. Luckily, long before I was on the Conservancy Board, they started setting fund back. When we put the spillway in, $650,000, we paid cash for it. There was a lot of money put back for plant expansion. There's a lot of money put back for dam repair. So somebody in their wisdom at some time started putting money back. So with $5.5 million, we sat and said we can probably handle this all right without having to float a bond or do anything. Then about that time, COVID came along, and then there become a lot of grant monies that were available because of what the government was doing with COVID. We looked at those, and we found 3 grants that we thought that, as we looked at them, that we probably would be eligible for some money, we hoped. One of them was a SWIFT grant. It was a state grant, and I think it was $600 million that the state of Indiana got for the SWIFT grant. So we filled out the forms, sent them in. I tell everybody, I don't think they even opened our envelope. I think they just sent us back an answer. But anyway, their answer was, and you people know what you pay for your wastewater treatment. Their answer was that nobody in the state of Indiana would be eligible for anything from the SWIFT grant unless their wastewater treatment bill was $100 a month.
Wow.
I don't know where the money went in the state of Indiana, but we didn't get any of it. The American Rescue Plan was a county plan. Putnam County got a few $1,000,000. We applied through the American Rescue Plan, and we got $186,204 from the American Rescue Plan. There was also another state program called the READY program, and they broke the state down into sections. We were in a 6-county section. We applied through them. Very luckily, we were able to get $951,223 through the READY plan. So by going out and getting these grants, we came up with $1,137,429. So I would tell you that we went to sat through a lot of boring meetings to come up with that $1 million. Anyway, okay. We meet with the general contractors once a month. The general contractor is Patterson Hort. Very, very, very fantastic company to work with. I've worked with different general contractors and different jobs in over my few years here on Earth, and they're fantastic work with. They meet with us. They tell us everything they've done the last month. They tell us what they're planning to do the next month. They tell us what's on schedule, what's behind schedule, what parts are on order. Just a fantastic group of people to work with. Now, I'm going to get down to maybe some of probably the most unpleasant part of my presentation. We have 30 lift stations. here at Heritage Lake. And you see them around. Some of them have, we have 4 that have generators on them. They're the larger lift stations that smaller lift stations feed into. So they're very critical to the movement of the waste. The water is from the north part of the lake down to the south part where the treatment plant's at. Now, the most unpleasant part, I guess the part of it is they ask about volunteers. We need every household out here to be a volunteer. Yourself, talk to your neighbors, do everything. I won't go into it, but I'm going to tell you what, it would actually blow you people's mind if I told you what gets flushed down toilets. When it goes into down that toilet, it just doesn't run down a pipe to our plant. It goes through lift stations which have pumps in them. When you put stuff in there that is by the people that are selling, the sales pitch is it's flushable. Oh yeah, but it's not biodegradable. And when it gets in those pumps, like everything else, are just going up thousands of dollars. You know, not only that, it takes 2 or 3 people to go out with a lift truck, a vac truck to vacuum the lift station out, clean it out, take the pump apart. Occasionally, we've got most of our pumps wired that way now. Occasionally, we can reverse the motor, and it'll sometimes clean the impeller out. But whatever it cleaned out is still in the lift station, and it'll probably come back in again. So what normally has to happen is it takes 2 or 3 guys to go out, and I did a study 2 or 3 years ago, and it'd be more than that now, but went back through some of our jobs that we'd had, and we were talking just in labor, $800 if a pump went out. Some of the bigger lift stations have 2 pumps, but still there's 2 pumps there for a reason. Sometimes 1 pump's not enough, so if you got to do that. And to buy these new pumps, we put a couple of grinder pumps in to try to solve these problems. The grinder pumps are miserably expensive. They do work some, they don't solve the 100%. So I'll say one more thing and I'll sit down. Please, 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 if it says flushable on it, throw it in the trash. Don't flush it down the stool. You know, it's everybody as these expenses go up, as pumps burn out, as impellers have to be replaced, as people have to go out and do this work. You know what happens. Your sewer bills are going to go up. That's just good common sense. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Frank. Election Committee, Jim Muhlenbach.
Thanks for letting me follow him.
Well,
No speakerphone, okay. First, I want to say this. Dwayne had asked me a couple years ago if I would join the Siltation Committee, and I did that, and I'm privileged to be the secretary now. That man has done so much for this community. It's incredible to me. And when you hear him talk, he can be a little long-winded, but he has a lot to say, and he's been just great to work with. And Dwayne, I think a lot of you. So mine's pretty quick. I want to tell you, last year in 2023, we didn't have an election. We had 4 open positions, and 3 of them were going to be for a 3-year. 1 was going to be for a 2-year because it was a resignation of the board. And so we had 4 candidates. They all got put in last year without having an election. And that was Alyssa and Jeff and Paul and who's the other one? Rick. Paul decided to take the 2-year term, so at the end of this year, he's going to be off. Now, for this year, first of all, if you don't know who I am, I'm Jim Muhlenbein. My wife Deb and I have been co-chairs of this so-called election committee for about the last 10 years. We have been on the Lake Committee for 25 years plus, so we're the old standards, as Kent would say. First up, we want to thank the 4 candidates who are running this year, and that includes Andrew Crosley, Lynn McFerrin, A.J. Stafford, and Nina Stebbins. We want to thank them for stepping up and committing their time for this. Their willingness to support the community in this important capacity is really greatly appreciated by all of us. Secondly, I want to thank the office staff for all the support they gave us in preparing the Meet the Candidates, which we did in January, and the following people who helped us count the vote today. And those were Anita Kamick, Mary Petruzzi, Julia Prather, Arlene Richmond, and Ken and Judy Roselle. I also have to say, since we've been on the committee for 10 years, and we're much older and we'd like to go to Florida a little longer, Deb and I are giving up as co-chairs of the election after this year, and Mary Petruzzi has graciously agreed to head it up next year. We'll still be involved, and thank you, Mary. We'll still be involved and support her and all that kind of good stuff, but now she makes the decisions. Okay, the 4 candidates had submitted paperwork to run for the 3 positions on the board. The 3 candidates with the top number of votes will serve a 3-year term. On Saturday, January the 6th, we held a Meet the Candidates Day here at the clubhouse. Andrew, Linda, and AJ participated in person, while Nina participated via a conference call. We asked prepared questions from the committee, which we had submitted to the candidates in advance so that they could prepare properly for it. We verified the ballots as they arrived and submitted a date. This is the bad news. We had a total of 226 ballots this year. In all the years we've been on this is the worst number of election ballots we've ever had. I think the last time we did this 3 years ago, we had about 340. The last time before that was about 490, and one time we had over 1,000. So we had a really poor turnout this year. Of that 226, there were 211 that were actually signed. We lost 15 because they didn't sign the ballot. If you looked at the ballot, it was mentioned 5 times on there to sign the ballot. So what can I say? Today we finalized the verification of the additional ballots received and counted the votes. With all the ballots verified and counted, we had a total of 248 valid signed votes. Of these, there was 826 actual votes. A lot of people vote for one person when they're supposed to vote for 3. We didn't count any of the votes from the 15 invalid ballots. Results of the election. 4 candidates running. We had 3 being selected to the board. The 3 candidates that received the most votes in order are: candidate with 230 votes, and in first place was A.J. Stafford. Candidate with 228 votes, and in second place was Nina Stebbins. And the candidate with 193 votes, and in third place was Linda McFerrin. Of that, all 3 will serve a 3-year term, and we again thank the candidates for everybody who ran. Thank you.
I'd like to hear from the Government Committee. Rick Olson, please.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to commend Jeff Blades for his choice of wardrobe here. Boiler up. Secondly, Dwayne, I know you wear some different hats here, but I think the one on your head is pretty important too. So I'd like to thank you and any other veterans that are here for your service to our country. We really appreciate it. So the government committee, really excitement here. So the government committee, the main focus is to be a liaison between the lake and the government, primarily the commissioners, and develop relationships with those folks because, you know, if we shed a good light on the Heritage Lake community, hopefully we can get a few things done around here. It's pretty tough. Putnam County is a pretty poor county, unfortunately. We don't get a lot of funding, so we need to you know, get everything that we can to improve primarily the roadways. So we developed the relationships with the commissioners, the county engineer, Jim Pack, council members, people like that. So last year we were able to get the Heritage Lake resurfaced, Heritage Drive, sorry, resurfaced on the east side. They did the west side the year before that. So that was done through a community crossings grant through NDOT. The county pays, I want to say 20%, and the state pays the rest. So that was good. It's really nice. It's kind of a racetrack, but I think Ken would tell you, don't be racing on it, all right? So keep your speed down. It's 30 miles an hour, and we need to, there's a lot of people that walk on it, so we need to keep our speed down. That was the good news. The bad news, Heritage Lake has the county has a program. It's a 7-year program where they improve roadways throughout the county, but Heritage Lake has been, is on there for certain roadway improvements for all of those 7 years. Unfortunately, last year, we were near the end of the program and they ran out of millings. They put millings down and then chip and seal. So I said, well, then we should be at the top of the list for 24. Wrong. So currently, there's no work scheduled for the roadways at Heritage Lake, other than it's not part of Heritage Lake, but the road on County Road 725 between the Groveland and the Crown Point Road, or it goes by a few different names. So hopefully that's at least one improvement. It is getting pretty bad out there. Other than that, I know on our road, we live on a cul-de-sac road, and they did do some patching out there that helped. I know that helped our road quite a bit. I'm going to keep on them to do that. You know, it's not the best, but it's better than nothing. So we'll keep working with them on that. I guess it was 2022. Yeah, they did do work as part of that plan in Gettysburg, I believe, and we had some problems, as I'm sure a lot of you know. There was a lot of dust that was created by that, and near one intersection there was bleeding of the asphalt up from the bottom. So I think they did fix that. The dust, they didn't do a real good job. We kept on them. They claimed their equipment was down. But that's the kind of thing that we need to, and if, you know, feel free to call the highway department. Be cordial. I think that helps. But if there are problems, I mean, people have called in about signs where the brush has grown up too much and things like that, the cover stop signs and whatnot. So feel free to call the highway department if you see things like that. Another thing that I participated in is the county developed a local road safety action plan. There's only like 5 counties in the state that have done this, and it just helps to get funding and things like that. Unfortunately, the main focus was on Manhattan Road, which is southwest of Greencastle, and Airport Road, which is southeast of Greencastle. Heritage Lake was mentioned in the report. The only thing they talked about was that same road that I was just talking about. There are a lot of animal crashes on that road. There's a lot of deer. If you drive that, you know that. And then they did talk about the lack of walkability throughout Heritage Lake, and I think we all know that too. It would be nice if we had some more trails and whatnot. So we also arranged one of the board meetings. We invited the county assessor, Don, I'm probably going to butcher his last name, Badolato, to come. They're doing a reassessment. That's also probably not good news for most of us. I don't know really what that's going to entail, but they did say that there was some of the zoning maps or plats or whatnot were incorrect. So they're gonna work to improve that. He claimed that there's probably some people are going to pay some more property tax, and others, he said, might be less, but if you believe that, we'll see. The county also developed a comprehensive plan and unified development ordinance, so they've been doing some work with that. The commissioners' meetings, there was a lot of talk, and I think throughout the state, a lot of talk about mental health, which I think is a good thing. We have a lot of problems with that. Going forward, there is a commissioner's race. Heritage Lake is in District 1, and there's an open seat. Dave Barry is leaving, is not running again, so there is an open seat. There's 4 candidates. I've approached all of them about getting a bio and just a little blurb on what they plan to do for the county and specifically for Heritage Lake. And I've heard from a couple of them, so we'll see. Hopefully, we can get that published in the April highlights, if we get those. But I think it's, the commissioner is a pretty important position in the county, probably more so than the council, even though the council has the funds. But the commissioners, it just seems like that's where all of the discussion is had. In closing, like others have said, we welcome people to the government committee. It's just, like I said, a matter of going to the commissioner meetings primarily and developing relationships. Speaking of relationships, I'd like to thank Ken. He knows everybody in the county by name, right? But he's a wealth of help, and Paul as well. He attends a lot of the commissioners' meetings as well. But anyway, I'd like to thank everybody, and if you have any questions for me, feel free to catch me after the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, I know everybody's getting a little bit tired. I'd give you a break right now, but it's almost over, okay? And next year, I think we'll probably submit a plan that maybe gives us a little bit of a curtain time around halfway through. Okay, Neighborhood Watch. April? This is the mayor of Heritage Lake.
The Neighborhood Watch continues to work hard with the Putnam County Sheriff's Department in reporting and preventing crime. It has been quite a quiet year for mischief and crime, so we are one lucky community for that. Please continue to report any suspicious activity or crime to the Neighborhood Watch and Sheriff Department. So definitely be our eyes and ears of the community. A huge thank you to Ken Roselle and Brian Helmer with the Putnam County Sheriff's Department for all they have done for the community. On several occasions, they were Johnny on the spot. Whether you heard it or not, they were. I hear and see a lot of things. So you guys are going to be very missed here at the lake. They both will be missed from the Sheriff's Department and Heritage Lake community. Neighborhood Watch has donated a lot of funds raised in several different events, equipment and items here at the lake, security boat, security cameras, bands, Putnam County CERT transmitters, which are used for the elderly and autistic children for our community. I highly recommend, if you know any elderly or autistic children, to look into this. And here at the office, we can help you with that. It's a very awesome program, so we have a lot of information about that. The next meeting will be in April, so watch the highlights in the calendar for the time and date. Like our Heritage Lake Indiana Neighborhood Watch Facebook page to keep informed and share information. So thank you, Heritage Lake.
Okay, Hellneck, I'm sorry, tell you, those of you who are new here, that stands for Heritage Lake Neighborhood Activities. We call, committee, we call it HELNAC. We get used to that. Donna?
Yes. I'll be quick.
Since when?
I've been attending a lot of the board meetings, and I like to talk. My name's Donna McGinley, 238 Mill Springs, and I'm a member of the Heritage Lake Neighborhood Activities Committee. HELNAC members share sincere gratitude to our community, including volunteers, POA board members, especially POA board members, Ken Roselle, who has done so much for us, the POA office, April and Jolene especially. I'm always in their office asking for things. And in addition to the marina staff. HELNAC events are successful as a direct result of our community. HELNAC is a volunteer committee. Membership and community volunteers continued to increase in 2023. Committee members included Chaz Catney, Heather Ludlow, Matt Ludlow, Jan Salee, Valeria Baylor, Crystal Pryor, Ryan Moore, me, and our newest member, Laura Todd Nance. As a result of HELNAC activities, donations, and poker run outcomes, HELNAC was able to fund 2023 events, support community concerts, and provide donations to important causes. In addition, HELNAC continued their routine practice of reflecting on experiences, discussing lessons learned, receiving community feedback, and implementing improvements for future events. HELNAC remains committed to providing community-friendly and safe events. Among our 2023 events were the Easter egg hunt, the spring and fall garage and food sale, the boat poker run and band, trunk or treat, pictures with Santa, and the spring-fall wine fest event. In addition, we had 2 scholarship committees that we gave to, the Scholarship Foundation and the Roger Wright Memorial Foundation. HELNAC typically meets the first Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. via MS Teams, Zoom, and or at the clubhouse. Community members are welcome to join or volunteer at any level of engagement. We need a lot of community action and volunteers for almost every activity that we provide. Donations are accepted and appreciated in order to provide free and low-cost events for our community. These can be dropped off at the POA office and marked for HELNAC. We invite you to join us at our next meeting to support activities that spark your interest and energy. However, I'm going to add that our meetings tend to be rather fluid. Our committee members are extremely busy and tend to travel and have work-related assignments. So we have to keep changing our meetings and how we're going to meet. So if you would like to attend one of our meetings, please contact me or one of the members of our committee to make sure the time and place. And if it's going to be by Zoom, we will make sure that the link gets sent to your email address so you can join us via Zoom. And again, we want to thank everybody here on this board for such a great effort in supporting the community. This is just a great community to live in. And we are also, just for planning purposes, we're trying to put together a meet and greet event at the new activity center, which we will right now have scheduled for May 11th. And that's going to be an event to try and meet some of the new people that have moved in out here, as well as current residents. And it's going to be like a speed dating where you spend a few minutes trying to meet as many people as you can. We're still working on the logistics, but we hope to have a lot of folks interested in meeting some new people in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. I have something to say, but I'm not going to say it. Okay. Next, Floyd Township Fire Department. Jeff, please.
Hi, I'm Jeff Brooks, 123 Patriots Landing, and I'm proud to be the chief of your Floyd Township Fire Department. Currently, we're comprised of 15 members, sons, daughters, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, mothers and fathers, grandfathers, and one great-great-grandfather. All are here to respond to your emergency needs and non-emergency needs 24/7, to take care of any emergency need for fires or medical, and also, as I mentioned, non-emergency needs. We are seeking new recruits to volunteer for our department. If you are interested in no pay, work odd hours, you do get to drive some cool trucks, please give me a call or contact one of our firefighters. Just as a note, last year's total annual pay for all 15 firefighters combined was $5,600. That money reimburses the firefighters for the gas used to drive back and forth to the department, and also for any clothing that gets damaged on fire or medical runs. Last year, we did have 300 dispatched runs. We had 22 fire-related, 14 structure fires, where 3 of those were house fires. We had 178 medical runs, related runs, 45 heart attacks, 10 cardiac arrests, 11 strokes, had 22 motor vehicle accidents with injuries. Some of the things we did last year, equipment-wise, all of our station phones, now if you call the fire department, different from in the past, it doesn't go to a voice machine right away. You get a prompt to call 911, which if it is emergency, always call 911 first. And then you get a prompt to hit a number, and that will dial my cell phone number. So we're now getting a lot more calls coming in that way as far as non-emergency calls. We did purchase Project Lifesaver equipment, as April talked about earlier. We've trained several of our members. We've got, I think, 5. We just did a 5th one who's trained in the use of it. This is the Project Lifesaver device. It's going to make some noise. Trust the chirp, right, Ken? I've got a transmitter that this receiver will pick up from a mile away. If you have a loved one who has a propensity to wander because of any kind of cognitive issues, dementia, autism, Alzheimer's, they'll be wearing it. They wear a band, and then if they wander away, we can find them with that right there. I think Ken has one, and I know they have one at the POA office as well. And there is no charge to that to the residents. That is a free service. If you want any more information, you can contact the fire department. You can contact Chris Schaefer at 317-341-5630, or you can email her at chris.schaefer@pccert.org. Something we added to the fire department, it's been used quite a bit because I've taken 63 flags so far. We added a flag disposal box. It's out in front of the fire department. If you have a U.S. flag or a state flag that needs disposed of, you can drop it off there, put it in the box, and we'll see that it's retired properly. We take them to the American Legion, and they are retired as outlined by a resolution passed in 1937 by the American Legion and adopted by the U.S. Department of Defense. I wanted to talk about just blue lights. We get questions about blue lights. People see them on our vehicles every once in a while. Our personal vehicles, when we get a run, we'll pop a blue light on our dash. Some of them have them in their grills. If you see a vehicle with flashing blue lights approaching, we're asking you to give us the right-of-way. We're not demanding it. We don't demand the right-of-way, but we are en route either to the fire station to get a piece of equipment for an emergency or to someone's home for an emergency, because we do respond directly. A house fire can double in size in 30 seconds with the materials in today's houses. If a person's heart stops, CPR needs to be started in less than 5 minutes, and the window of survival for a stroke patient is less than 4.5 hours to be at the hospital to receive life-saving hospital care. So please keep that in mind when you see blue lights coming up behind you, and let us get onto our job. We are doing some fundraising, different things fundraising this year. There's some coolers in the back on that side and some safety lights over there. Guardian Angel lights and Pelican lighting and cooler products. We are a reseller, and we are selling those to the community. All the profits go right into the fire department. We're not hiring sales guys or anything like that. Anyone who wants to help with getting our online store set up and a web page set up, please give me a call because that's way above my pay grade. We will be announcing additional fundraisers throughout the year. Hot dog fundraiser in the fall, we've been doing it. That's been a little bit successful, but we're going to look more at that kind of fundraiser to fund the things we need on the fire department. Donations are always accepted via mail. We do have a Venmo account that you can scan barcode, and it takes you right to the Venmo account. We will always have one of our firefighters come out to take your money. That may not sound right, but because all the fire services, the fire department does not get paid by the state or anybody else for fire service. If we make a medical run, we buy the bandages to replace what's in the trucks. If we use any equipment on our trucks that does get damaged or used up, we replace that. We do not bill anybody for any of our services. In the future, we're looking at pressurized water system, and I've been doing research on it, some geological research. And when I say pressurized water system, that's not so Dwayne can water his lawn. It's so we can fill our fire trucks up faster instead of drawing water out of the lake. Last winter when the lake was down, we did do some hydrant repairs and found out most of our hydrants were buried. We do flush them regular, but that's just the nature of dry hydrants. I think that's an oxymoron, a dry hydrant, but we're drawing water out of it. But it's not pressurized, we have to draw that water out. And that takes time, so our goal is to provide faster fire suppression service for everyone in the community. The one other thing we're looking at doing in the future, hopefully sooner than later, is a new fire engine pumper. Our truck is 20 years old. It is requiring quite a bit of repairs now. Nothing major yet, but 20-year-old fire trucks start needing pump repairs. If a pump needs replaced, we're over $80,000 to replace a pump. If we need it rebuilt, it can cut that price down a whole lot, but to rent a fire truck while that one's down is $20,000 a month to rent a truck, and you got to be able to find one. So we are looking for revenue opportunities. We are 501c3, and so we've already gone after some grant money. We're hoping to get response back from a AFG grant to get new radios. Our radios are 20 years old as well. Of our 30 radios, I think we've got 14 that work effectively. We've been replacing them a little bit, but this radio I'm wearing right here is $5,500. So lastly, I just want to thank the community for the opportunity to serve you. We do enjoy serving the community. Also want to thank the surrounding departments, Putnam County EMS, Putnam County CERT, and the Sheriff's Department for all their support for our department as well. Thank you.
Before I ask Ken Roselle to come up and give his report, are there any clubs or committees that I have forgotten? I go by what's issued to me, so if there's any clubs here that would like to say a few words. Okay, Ken, you ready? Yep. All right. Our illustrious leader.
Well, first off, there's a few things I'd like to say, and first off, our activity center is unlocked for anybody that would like to take a walk through there. We have done a lot of work in there. I'm very proud of what we've done. We've spent probably $32,000 so far on upgrades, and it's all been done by our maintenance staff. So we haven't paid any labor out. What you will see is we've covered the fireplace that is no longer in use, so we put an electric fireplace in. You'll see where the old pool table used to be, there's going to be now a kitchen. I went in last night and ordered some final sets of cabinets that'll go on the other side, so other side of the kitchen. And other than a stove, that's about all we've got yet to spend upstairs. I look for this to be done upstairs maybe in the next 3 weeks, and then we'll move downstairs on the restrooms. So feel free to walk in there and take a look at what we have done. I'm pretty proud of it. With that being said, there's a resident out here by the name of Dale Johnson that I'd like to thank. He has a business in Plainfield. It's called Home Furnishings. He sells furniture. He's given us a great deal. Part of that $32,000 we've spent has been with furniture. So the whole place is getting new furniture inside. And he's got what he calls a Heritage Lake deal. So if you're from Heritage Lake and you want to go see him at Home Furnishings, please remind him you're from Heritage Lake and he's got a great deal for you. Next, the one thing I wanted to say was that the majority of this meeting has been discussed about volunteers. I'm telling you, you could take us away, but this community would not survive without the volunteers that we have around here. It's just absolutely amazing. Whether you've done it for 22 years or 1 year, every volunteer is appreciated. So I did it for almost 12 and a half years with the Sheriff's Department. So every chance I get to thank a volunteer, I do. So anyway, there's one more thing I was wanting to say, but I can't remember. I'll read this here, and a lot of it is thanking my staff. If I could credit one thing that I thoroughly enjoy about being your lake manager while over the past 8 years, is the accomplishments that we have been completed that have improved the look, enjoyment, pleasure, and all the compliments that I hear that surround the community. This is our community. We need to be proud of it. There is nothing wrong with the money we spend wisely around here for investing in our community. Can you just envision what our community would look like if we just sat on our hands and did nothing? Every one of us live at Heritage Lake, work very hard at making all of this happen. Whether your contributions is solely paying for assessments, donating your hard-earned money, or being part of a committee to raise money for things like the security boat, fireworks, band, entertainment, community flowers, a free monthly newsletter, a fire department in our community that is also made up of volunteers. I could go on and on with the hardworking people that make Heritage Lake a great community. We should be proud and feel good about the things that we do around here. I thank every one of you for whatever part you may have in contributing that allows Heritage Lake to be a financially solid community. I just remembered, so I can multitask. I read this and I remember the thing I forgot. While we were complimenting a Purdue retirement, a gentleman's hat, you've got to give credit to the best dressed, our chief out here. He gets the best dressed award. Now, my employees, I cannot exit this podium without speaking about them. In today's challenging world, with so many businesses that experience the struggle of retaining their staff, we have been very fortunate. My staff has been very consistent over my 8 years without very little turnover. One may think that this is an easy place to work. In my opinion, it may be, right in our back door. But we sure do have our challenges managing the several personalities that is always not easy to accomplish, but we get it done. So I'd like to start out by starting with the office, April and Jolene. She keeps waiting on me to pull her up here. These two ladies are truly my rock stars. Handling the multiple daily phone calls that we receive, being very patient and answering the same questions over and over again that could have easily been located and looked up in the booklet or our website at HLPOA.us, or receiving an ink pen flying at them from an angry member. And yes, that happened, hasn't it, Jolie? Okay. Well, he got escorted out of here pretty quickly. So thank you, ladies, for maintaining a professional office when at times I know you are being put to a test. So thank you for your professionalism and being the glue that holds everything together, and you truly make me look good. Next, the marina staff. Thank goodness this place is a seasonal location. We register over 1,200 boats, hundreds of non-motorized boats that appear at times to be nothing more than an assembly line of boats out in the parking lot. Not to mention being outside in the heat of the day while pumping over 220,000 gallons of gasoline throughout the season. Manager Rose Ogden, Ashley, Patty, Steve, Joe, Lizzie, Bob, and both Jims, thank you very much for your efforts in making the marina an enjoyable destination to visit. Then we have the 5 guys that like to toot their horn that they can fix anything, the maintenance staff. Supervisor Sean Flanagan, John, Mav, Dale, and Mike. They truly can fix, build, and remodel about anything that I challenge them to. These guys physically work hard in the cold, heat, rain, and it doesn't matter. They are tough as hell. Let me give you an example. Last summer, when they were building the marina dock, the new one that bends around to the floating docks, I walked up there, and as I walked up to check on them, I noticed a dead snake laying in the grass with no head. When I stopped to ask what the deal with the snake, John says, "Well, Ken," he says, "that's once we started moving the riprap," he said, "that snake got all up in my business." And he goes, "So I just reached down there and gave it a whip, and it took its head off, and it don't bother me no more." That's a guy I want on my team. So thank you to all 5 of these men for all their hard work that they do each and every day. Lastly, our pool staff, no fault of theirs. The pool is the money pit of our amenities. With labor costs to keep the pool water tested, restroom concession, all are kept clean, and then throw in $1,000 of pool chemicals it takes to keep the pool meeting Board of Health standards for each and every hour. Like I said, it's no fault of theirs. Kim Curran does a great job at giving you a relaxful trip to the pool with a variety of options of food and drinks. It takes a special kind of staff to close the pool, sanitize the pool, while they dip a baby Ruth out of the pool when a child has an accident. So thanks, Kim, for doing the best you can for managing the pool. So with all that being said, and a little humor that I have included, this is truly a great community, and it's the best job I've ever had. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ken. All right. I'd like to take this time to give out the thank you awards to our board members who are leaving, although 2 of them are coming back. We should probably sell these, and no, that's right. The first award goes to AJ. AJ's been on the board a long time. That means I can't hardly remember when AJ was not giving his time and energy to this community. Also, he holds the record for the most fashionably late appearances at our meetings. I think his marketing manager had something to do with this, because every time he comes in late, that camera picks it up. AJ? fancy, huh?
That thing's serious business.
Thank you. Here. Next, I'd like to give an award and thank you to Nina Stebbins. She's been one of our officers the last 3 years and she has the highest contributions in all of our meetings, in all the brainstorming sessions for the last 3 years, which I really, truly appreciate. She gets very involved, not that the others don't. You all know Nina, right? She's got the Woody pontoon boat, kennel. It's a pontoon kennel that appears on Heritage Lake daily. You all know her, right? Yeah. She's highly visible and has always maintained the highest contributions level for this community. And I think everybody out here knows Nina Stebbins. Thank you very much, Nina. And lastly, our Vice President is not here to receive her award because she's running a birthday party for her triplets. And Summer Ramsey, she is where she should be with her twins. And she is a tireless volunteer. She and her husband, Mark, are raising a family of participants. She's the mother of 5 children, teacher, studying to get her master's, vice president of the board, champion and chairman of the long-term planning committee. How could anyone in this community ever say you don't have time to be a volunteer? She is an example, and I want to thank her very much. Over the 8 years that he's been here, and he's also been head of the reserves for the Putnam County Sheriff's Department. So I came up with an idea that I listed all the board members that have been around ever since Ken's been around. And this award reads as follows. Presented to Ken Roselle in appreciation from those named below for your dedication and successful guidance within the Putnam County Sheriff's Department and especially the community of Heritage Lake, Indiana. A very sincere thank you, and all the names from 2015 to 2024 of board members.
Thank you. Now, I didn't cry when I gave my announcement. You guys are testing me, so. No, this is a shock. I thank you very much, all the board members. I'm going to keep it short because I probably will cry. It was a hard decision, but what I was going to tell you, I fought my last fight, I wrote my last ticket, but that don't mean I still don't have connections. So, if you ever need any help, don't hesitate to call. There's a few things that I did keep. One of them is my lockout kit, so I've probably hold the record on unlocking vehicles. I always said I missed my calling because there was never a vehicle I haven't been able to unlock. So I still have that. If you ever need any help, don't hesitate to call. So thank you very much.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the forum. As we all know, it's the time of the meeting where you get to throw tomatoes and speak your mind. Before the forum, I'd like to read something to you, and maybe it'll give those of you who are new to the community an idea of what has happened in the last few months that everybody has questions about and concerns about and so on and so forth. Maybe this will nip some of the questions in the bud, maybe not. We have been working on something for just shy of 3 years. That's 3 boards. And the 3 boards, unanimously, each board has been behind this effort. And this effort is a complaint into the county court system to change our voting system, period. To change our voting system, period. We have heard over the years that 9 members of a board have no right to have the type of decision-making power that they do have now. We agree. And we want that to be in the community's responsibility. We want that to be in the community's power. Before I read this, I would like to say that as of today, or this year, 2024, in 2020, we promised, after taking out a loan and using our money to build a new marina, that we would heighten the fees on everything we could possibly heighten to help us pay for that new marina. And we guaranteed you that by 2024, we would pay for that marina and we would bring those fees back down to the level of 2020. Well, we missed by 1 year on paying for the marina. We were 1 year earlier by paying for that marina. But we are bringing the fees back down in 2024 as promised. So this year, your fees come down for boat slips, all the fees of Heritage Lake. By now, you've all received the complaint that we have submitted to the courts, asking for a change in our voting system that was laid out 50 years ago in our covenants. A covenant is law. We have to abide by it. We can change our bylaws. We can even submit and change some amendments, but we can't change the covenants without a vote from the community. We supplied the courts with all the information necessary concerning the articles of incorporation, the covenants, the bylaws, all policy procedures. We have demonstrated also the impossible task of receiving enough votes as stipulated in our 50-year-old covenants. So the following changes are what we asked for. The voting was 1 lot, 1 vote. 8 lots, 8 votes. We're asking for a modification. We're asking for each equitable owner at Heritage Lake to have 1 vote. For instance, if a husband and wife own a property, you get 2 votes. They're equal equity owners. If you have 5 lots, 1 vote. You're an equity owner. If you have multiple equitable owners, say in an LLC, partnership, or even 5 members that agree to buy a lot, get 2 maximum votes. Everybody understand that? Okay. Basically, it's very similar to owning 200 acres in Putnam County. You get 1 vote. If you own 1 acre in Putnam County, you get 1 vote. That's what we'd like to get back to at Heritage Lake. The other thing we're asking for is concerning the quorum. Our quorum right now, if we want the community to vote for something, we have to have 66 2/3 of all lots voted. And then we have to have 66 2/3 of a yay or nay to pass a form, a referendum. Everybody knows it's impossible. We've tried it twice. We've done everything but give everybody a $20 bill to vote. And we have given cash cards out to get people to vote. It was a raffle, and we've always come up at least 500 votes short of ever having the stipulation of 66 2/3. The modification we're asking for 60% of a minimum of 750 votes tallied for yea and nay. Meaning that once we receive 750 votes or above, we take 60% of that for the yea or nay to pass or fail a referendum. Those referendums have not been, it hasn't all been stabilized yet. However, our structure is as follows. We have a long-term planning committee. That long-term planning committee is going to be made up of members of the community. It is already made up of members of the community. We're going to try and strengthen that long-term planning committee. Once an idea comes into the long-term planning committee, the long-term planning committee will take what they consider a good idea for our community moving forward, and they will substantiate the need for that, in their opinion. They will reach out and get the facts, figures, and background for that particular referendum. That referendum, if they agree, it being a viable interest for our community for future growth, it will then be submitted to the Board of Directors. The Board of Directors will then evaluate and gather more facts if necessary, and that referendum will then, if agreed by the board, the majority of the board, will then be issued to the community as a referendum with all facts, figures, reasons, everything necessary to convince you that it's worth a vote. Then it's up to you. Okay? The only reason any adjectives or nouns are mentioned in any of that complaint that you've received is to give the courts identity with what is possible or what is not possible in the future. This has nothing to do with any one specific thing. We just heard from one of the board members, or maybe it was Ken, or maybe it was a government committee, that one of the biggest things we need out here is someplace for us to walk. We need someplace for us to walk. Well, that's a big deal, and I think that that needs to happen. But the board here, we try to make the best decisions for you, but we'd like you to make that decision. We'll come up with the ideas, or you come up with the ideas, and then if it gets through one committee and into the board and gets voted on, we'll bring it back to you. Because it's going to affect you in the long run. Because when you see the figures on how to, let's just say, for instance, we're going to put a track around Heritage Lake. $8 million. $8 million plus the okay from everybody that lives around that track. Okay? Those are the kind of things we want you to decide. We don't want to decide that. Anything like that. But that's our quest. So with that, I'll open the meeting up to the forum. And as you bring up your comments or questions, please tell us your lot number, your name, and be respectful. Yes, ma'am.
Diane Howard, 309 Gettysburg. Who is going to replace our wonderful security that Ken and Brian have given us? I mean, how's that going to be done anymore? Who's going to be replacing you guys? I mean, who can replace you? They have, the county have any, like, we need it. I think it's needed.
That would probably be a question to ask the sheriff.
So you haven't heard of
No.
Now, I would follow up on Ken's answer by saying this. Eventually, our lake manager is going to be replaced. We don't all live forever. We don't all want to work forever. In my opinion, we're going to be going out there looking for somebody to replace, and somebody that's almost indispensable. I have never been around in my careers I have always been an entrepreneur. I've always owned companies. And I have always had I've always run with the highest caliber of people in business. I have never, ever come across somebody with his capabilities and his dedication. And he never runs out of steam. He's like that rabbit. He never says no. And to follow up on the answer, I don't think it's ever going to be what it was. And I think that we as a community need to get involved with Neighborhood Watch. We as a community need to watch out and report things to the Sheriff's Department. The first thing we need to do, this traffic has to be kept down slower. I took a picture of a plate the other day, and I haven't given it to Ken yet, but I took a picture of it just to make a point. I had to drive 55 miles an hour around Heritage Lake to take a picture of it. But I got that picture, by golly. And, that's what we're up against. So we have to work together on this. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sandy Ambrose at Patriots Landing 293, and I have a request for folks here today. There's an open board seat for Endeavor Communications representing the Coatesville Exchange that I'd like to run for, and I need some signatures from folks that use Endeavor Communications. The geography is on the east side of the lake, so basically you have to be in Patriots Landing, Gettysburg, Jefferson Valley, or Lincoln Hills in order to sign the petition for me. So I'll be waiting by the door at the end of the meeting if you're willing to do that. I am a technologist. I have been my whole career. My husband would call me a geek, so I think I have something to offer to the organization in that regard. I've also served as chair of the board of trustees for my church in the past, so have some leadership experience as well as in my career. So,
Could you state your name one more time?
Sandy Ambrose.
Thank you, Sandy. Sandy, you might have just opened up a can of worms.
Is there someone else running?
No. Okay. I would, at this point, I would like to take a motion to adjourn.
Hey, Paul,
Yes,
can I respond to something to her that
you may.
I've lived here for 25 years. I've been your lake manager for 8. I plan on doing it for 10. 2 more. I could almost tell you your speed without even having a radar in my hand. So I see what I see. I'm tied very close to the community. I don't want you to think that I all of a sudden don't care, because I do. What I see and what I know, I promise you will get filtered back to what I said. I still have connections. But at the end of the day, it's the sheriff's decision to make that for the community of Heritage Lake. It's a very large community. They need to wake up and realize it is the second largest community. But I will always do what I can to help out. So I do see, I told him first part of the week that my exact words was, I don't know if it's my imagination or not, but I feel like I've seen this speed pick up. That's the downfall of announcing that I'm not out here anymore as a law enforcement. Now everybody thinks, I can't tell you how many times I've hit lights at people. I would get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and Shark Heritage Lake for the school buses. I'd hit them the red and blues when I'd see them speed. I don't have those red and blues anymore, but I do see the speed, and I will communicate that information. So I just wanted to share that with you. I didn't want you to think my answer was I didn't care, because I do, but it will get relayed.
Thank you, Ken. Did you have something?
Rich Walsh, JB 259. One thing I want to know is, you guys spent a lot of time, you said, to change the voting.
No, we haven't changed it yet.
Well, trying to change the voting. Okay, going to court, all right. Anyway, there has to be something pushing the board saying, man, we need to change this voting so we can try to get this through it for a vote. Because I mean, you don't spend that much time trying to change something unless you've got a reason what you want to try to bring. Is there something that the board wants, maybe an individual say, hey, we can't bring this up unless we get this voting changed? There's something that they're trying to get changed or want to get changed? Or?
You know, I think the birth of the idea came from an old meeting or several meetings. When we decided to build a new marina, if you were a board member or connected to that in any way, shape, or form, that was the ugliest, hardest, most intense 2 years anybody could ever spend that wanted to do something good for this community. And 9 members had to make that choice. And we decided at that time we needed to change our covenants because it wasn't fair to 9 members to make a choice that big. It wasn't fair for 9 members to, every time they're on the street, get flack about the fact that we don't have the right to spend that kind of money. Right. We don't have the right to do that. Well, if there's anything that we've done in the last 10 years that has impaired anybody's livelihood, anybody's living conditions, anybody's joyfulness, anybody's happiness, anybody's positive growth that the board members have made, let me know what those are. Now's your chance. You don't have to do it today. You can tell me anytime. But that's what started this out. We wanted the community to be involved in some of the decisions we have to make now. That's it. No, I'm not, we're not going to go there. Go ahead, Curtis.
I don't know where to start with you, you know that? I really don't. These changes that they have is a tremendous alteration in your voting rights. It's a tremendous way of taking away the rights that you now have, not to even have to vote when they want to change your governance, to forcing you to vote. And they got the numbers down to where they almost can guarantee themselves the right to pass them through. And you don't think this isn't about taking more money out of your pockets? You better start thinking again. And if this isn't about having more control over you, wouldn't you think you got to develop a committee now that you have to go through in order to get to them to propose something? This thing is, these proposals are terrible. And you need to take a serious look at them. And you need to talk to the judge and write him a letter and say, look, I'm not for this garbage. Because that's what it is.
I got a question for you, Curtis.
Yes.
Can you name me one thing that has negatively affected your living at Heritage Lake in the last 10 years that this board has decided on?
Oh,
that has
yes,
affected.
I can name a number of them.
No, I just want one.
Okay, when you guys voted me off the board because I disagreed with you. How about that?
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Susan Zeller, 79 Gettysburg. I'd like to thank the board for taking action to give the community the ability to vote so that those of us.
Thank you. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Oh, wait, hold on.
I'm sorry. You have something?
Yes, so 69 Gettysburg Fields. So as he was saying, you guys didn't, us as a community didn't have a right to vote before this has been put in promotion. Like you guys took the vote for the whole restaurant and everything else. Did you allow the community to vote before?
Yeah, we
Any
tried.
community voted no?
What's that?
Did the community vote?
No, we could not reach the type of voting standards.
So if the people don't vote, that means no, right?
No,
No, it doesn't?
no. We basically, we had town hall meetings about that.
Yep.
We also sent out emails for questions from the people and responses for our quest. Everything we put out to the community, when we received answers from the community, whether it be through emails or town hall meetings, we had at least 75% yes, go forward from the community.
55 votes.
So that's where that decision came up. We felt that the community wanted us to move forward with that new marina. And that's why we came up with the
ones that
unanimous.
voted.
What's that?
The ones that voted.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's,
So
what else?
no one votes, it
what-
doesn't mean nothing.
What do you mean?
So if I decide that, hey, I'm not agree with it, even if I don't have,
Well-
then that vote shouldn't count. You see
Sure.
what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The election committee just talked about how many people voted
Yes.
for board members.
Yes.
All the people that didn't vote, that wasn't a no. And it wouldn't have been a no anyway, they just didn't vote. So in order to meet a quorum, you've got to vote to meet a quorum. If you don't meet the quorum, it means there wasn't any participation. So it's not a no vote, not voting, it's just that you don't ever get a quorum. Be like the board members here not showing up, less than half. Then the meeting that you hold wouldn't be an official meeting, because there's no vote. I mean, it's not a no vote, it's not any votes. So there's a minimum that's required. We never make that minimum, because there's not enough votes. Just like the government, or the election committee said, there were how many election votes?
To answer your question directly, it is not a simple yes or no
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
quorum.
different variables that go into, I've been part of 2 different campaigns that reach back 6 years, trying to change the covenants by asking the 66 2/3 people to vote. We would have needed 1,991 yes votes, not just total votes, 1,991 yeses in order to pass the covenant vote as we had talked about. I believe the best we did on the last one was like 1,500 yes votes, and I don't remember what the number of no votes was as far as the actual received no votes. What you have said was, if you don't vote, is it a no in the eyes of the covenants?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
I would guess if you abstain from your right to vote, it would be a no in that specific instance, but in the instance of, we sent out 2.
Because I know several people that just don't vote.
Well, if you don't choose to participate, as my.
Yes.
But see,
Hey.
those people contribute to
We've
the
been here
fact
for
that we
hours,
can't get the
so
votes necessary to get a yay or nay.
So meaning their answer is no.
They're not voting.
That's like saying, if you're asking for a blanket answer, in that case, none of us would have been reelected. If everybody that didn't vote, then none of us would have been reelected if that was the case. You would have no board of directors ever.
All right, you continue with board of directors, but you're trying to change the covenants, so to make those people vote, basically force them to vote.
That's right, that's exactly right.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
We're not forcing anyone to vote.
Yes, you are.
You can continue to not vote if you
It's the
choose not to
same
vote.
type of system that is in your county elections, your city elections, your federal elections. There's a lot of people that don't vote. Matter of fact, you can't come up with the percentages that we're asking for in any of those areas. We're asking for 60% of 750 people out of 2,000 lots. That's the highest percentage of any of those other counties demand. They don't demand anything. 10 people can vote in Putnam County and put all the positions in place. 10 people can. We're trying to establish a system so that our community has a say. If you can come up with a better way to do it, we'd be willing to listen to it. This board spent 2.5 years going through every scenario we could possibly imagine to come up with a fair system.
That's not true.
And then, and so what happened was, what we've done. We have submitted that to the courts. The courts can say no. The courts can say no. We don't know what the courts are going to do.
If you guys have questions after the meeting, instead of trying to shout across the room at each other, I'd be happy to talk to anybody. I've been through this for the last 6 years, and we're gonna go 3 more, so I'd be happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk about it in a reasonable manner. I will not be shouted at. I will not be cussed out. If you want to talk about it like grown-ups, I'll be happy to talk with you after the meeting.
Let me just say one thing. In 20, Jim, you'll mind, you all know me now.
He's been around for decades.
Yeah, decades, right. Jim Johnson asked me about 3, 4 years ago to watch the covenant vote that we did in 2018, 2019. And so I did. And I calculated, watched the numbers, and really worked on this thing. I spent a lot of hours, as the board did, trying to get to that quorum. And after 18 months of holding town halls and setting up little booths over at the marina and just knocking on doors and working like this, we still came up 500 votes short of quorum. And we've done this numerous times I've been here 31 years. This is not the only time we've done this. So what I'm telling you is, we will never get the covenants changed if we keep doing what we're doing. So I'm 100% in favor of what they're trying to do. How they come up with their numbers is up to the board, and I respect them for how they're handling this. So don't let anybody tell you this is terrible for you. It is not. It's the best thing that could happen to us as a community. And I'm a person who's always been very positive about living here. I love it here. We always have people who come and all they do is complain. And they'll find something wrong with everything the board does. I don't appreciate that. So, going forward, that's all I want to say.
I'm sorry, you have not been recognized. Would you please have, you have not been recognized. Sit down or leave.
And what they do to you people is what? Because they'll do the same crap to you if they do.
It's not as people, it's just you.
No, it isn't.
Curtis, you're not being recognized. You're not being recognized. You're not being recognized. It's over.
Nobody is forcing anybody to vote. If you don't vote for any representative, I don't care what it is. It has no impact on how many yeses or nos we receive. The only thing it can possibly impact is the quorum amount. And we asked for 750. And I think this board showed a serious degree of conservatism because I was one who felt like that number was too high. We can't get a quorum now. I don't want to be going back to the courts. In fact, we probably couldn't go back to the courts later and say, well, 750 was too high, we still can't get a quorum. So they asked for 750 and I didn't get my way. I would have asked for maybe 500. But they also showed a conservative side when they went with 60 as the deciding number of yes votes.
Percentage.
A percentage.
Versus 50%.
I wanted 50% plus 1. That's how every election in this country works. I wanted 50% plus 1. The board was more conservative, and I'm okay with it. But they're trying not to be stupid about it, and you guys should appreciate that effort because Curtis is telling you that we're taking away stuff. We're giving you the biggest seismological shift in power this community has ever seen, and it's a good thing.
Voting is a privilege.
Can I respond to something?
Yes, you
Sure,
may.
I don't want to drag this on. An allegation was made that the board has lowered the vote to a level that we could control.
And might I point out that our own vote to get us back on the board received less than 300 votes. So if we're setting the vote at 850, the perception that that is a vote that we can control has been directly disputed by the fact that this is a vote that happens every year. Everybody knew it was coming. It was very well advertised. If we couldn't have rigged this vote, then how in the world will we ever, not that I'm saying we would, but I want to point out the impracticality of that being any based in reality. That's all I have to say.
May I also remind everyone that the election is for board members. The board members control the major decisions right now. We got 200 votes out of a possible 2,000. 200 votes. Not only is that kind of eye-opening, how many calls did we get in the office asking about the board members and who they were running?
I can't recall one phone call.
Okay? So that means everybody read all the bios and knew exactly what these people were about. No one asked anybody. I got 2 phone calls this year. 2 phone calls. Last year I had about 5 phone calls. The year before I had about 10 phone calls. The interest level's going just like this for board members. But yet, a person can be very critical of the board. The time to be critical is when people are running. And if you want to run for the board, by all means, we would love to have you. And to correct any idea of why somebody gets thrown off the board, we have rules. All boards have rules. Every board I've ever been on has rules. If you break the rules, you are asked to be relieved. We ask you to leave. And at any time, and this is not a rule on every board, but at any time at Heritage Lake, if everybody on this board wants one person off, they can do it. Now that's pretty, that's pretty powerful. And the reason for that is just because we're a community. We're here for the community. We're all community members. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, the young man who's asked about the vote. I call a spade, and I'll clarify. Yes, you're 100% correct. There are people with our current covenants. If there's a vote that if you're required to have the 2/3 vote, as they've talked about, there are people out here who say, hey, I know that if I don't vote, that's a no vote. So you're 100% correct.
That's all I'm worried about. I ain't worried about the board.
Yeah,
I understand
that you're 100% correct. I don't think, with all due respect, Jeff, that the board member elections are governed the same way as the government changes.
I'm not worried about the board. The board, that's a vote.
I just want to clarify.
Covenants are bylaws that you gotta follow. So someone votes, doesn't vote, that means no. Or the covenants, the rules are rules that you can't change.
But you also have to remember that if you don't vote, we can't meet the quorum. So you can't get anything done. The people that just decide not to vote rather than vote no, you don't get a quorum. You don't get the quorum of no votes, you don't get the quorum of yay votes because you decide not to vote. And that's what ties on. Correct. You cannot move forward on anything.
And my response was, you're not comparing yeses to nos. You're comparing yeses to nos to I don't care. And my point was, there's more I don't cares than there are nos. And so I don't cares but I don't care always wins.
Okay.
Let's see what I'm saying?
It's getting late, and we need to move forward. Unfortunately, the board still has a meeting. And we have an executive meeting, and we'd like to get that over with. So I will take a motion.
Move we adjourn.
Okay, all those in favor? All right. Thank you, and before you leave, I'd be willing to talk to anybody one-on-one.